Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for August 15th, 2025. I'm Benji Fisher sharing my screen and moderating, and also here is Ralph Kohler. So we're going to start by looking at issue 3370326, refine labels and descriptions for field types. Actually, give me a moment, and just for the sake of the recording, let me open up a test site. Because, oh no. Oh, just a minute.
No rush. I'm preparing also something alongside.
So, oh no, I need to renew my GitHub token. You may have a link ready before I do.
I can prepare quickly another site if you want to. Mm. Do you need it?
Um, well, I'm still working on setting up the site. Okay, I have a
Okay.
working GitHub token. Um, I've
1 second.
updated Composer.
I've pasted a link in the chat.
Well,
Ah, you beat me to it.
at the same time. Okay, so just logging in.
Do you have the merge request applied?
No.
Oh, then take the one. 1 second, I have to restart the sharing. I've ended it.
Ah, and I see that Simo Helston has joined us.
Hi.
Hi, Simo. I've pasted a new link.
Oh, so maybe I need to update my Zoom client again. Okay. Hey, that works. Okay, so what the issue is talking about, structure, content types, choose any content type and manage fields. Um, I feel as if everything is going wrong today. Um, oh, second time it works. All right, so when adding a new field, we start with this modal window, and we've done a little bit of updating to the text here, and more updating to the next step in the process. For example, adding a reference field. So that's the context. Um, I just want to see whether my site is working now. That's better. So we have two installations, one with the merge request applied and one not. And so one comment about 4 days ago, Berger pointed out that our proposed text for numeric values, a numeric value like quantity or price, one problem with that is that many sites are using the commerce module, which has a dedicated price field, which is not underneath the number category. I kind of think it should be under the number category, but I don't know that I can persuade the commerce maintainers to change that. Um, so if we could come up with something other than price that gets across the idea that it could be a quantity with a unit, that would be good. And then I pinged Emma Horrell in Slack, and she commented, happy to test the changes with a less experienced site editor to gain perspective on this, in contrast to the views from more experienced builders as gathered by Ralph. Can anyone make me a test environment with that functionality? Oh, and I see, Ralph, you already replied to that. Can you summarize this comment?
Just one brief question up front. I have another installation where I have also Commerce installed, and that way we would be able to see those field types updated in core alongside with field types not updated yet. There we see the problem with a numeric field, as well as another detail I would also wanted to raise and discuss. And in summary, comment number 75, I've simply suggested, since Emma has DDEV installed, I've provided her basically a single line to set up. 1 second, I have to stop the other one first, otherwise, DDEV share.
You can only share one
Yeah,
local
with a
site
free
at a time.
account, unfortunately only one. That's the new link in the chat. And yeah, I've provided her a single installation that is using the Composer template by Joachim. And that way you're able to apply merge requests easily. And yeah, it's just a one-liner and everything is set up. That's basically the gist.
Okay.
Again, under structure.
So there are a couple of more comments that we should have a look at. And we should think about whether there are other ways we can help Emma. But okay, what do you want me to look at here?
As you can see here in the upper right corner, you have the commerce group.
Yes.
That contains basically the number field Badia is referring to with price, as well as text number is basically a numeric field, as well as remote ID, strictly speaking.
Can't remote IDs be alphanumeric?
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked at it, but it might be. Yeah, but also if you go one step back with change field type, you also have plugin and state that is also in the context of commerce. And the detail I wanted to raise is basically if you take a look at the comments, for one, don't use the bullet points. They also, the description, and the description also doesn't use periods, sometimes uses the term field or field type in the description, all things we try to avoid. And therefore I thought the thing I've suggested a while ago, and it illustrated basically it might be helpful and necessary either a change log or a docs page with a style guide or both of it. Yeah, for content maintainers, how to adjust their field types that they fit in and don't stand out style-wise.
That's a good point. And once we have some documentation to point to, we could submit issues, for example, for the
Yeah.
commerce module.
And I've already as you can see here at the moment, the commerce icon, for example, using a darker color, I've already reported it. And yeah, I've also left a comment that as soon as the refine issue is more stable and close to being fixed, then I'll create follow-up issues there. I already provide them a heads up.
Okay.
And the issue for the color is already fixed.
Okay, so I think go back and look at the remaining comments.
Yeah.
So the G-Bum, what's his real name?
Gareth.
Thank you.
He did a rebase basically.
All right. If we close and open the merge request, will we get a tugboat preview link? That could be used to share a link to an environment. So he's also trying to reply to Emma's request. And yeah, sometimes tugboat links work and sometimes they don't, and I don't use them very often. So I'm not sure what the current status of tugboat support in Drupal core issues is.
Shouldn't it be out of the box automatically?
I think so, but if it were, then we'd see a link
Yeah.
around here somewhere. So he's suggesting that we close and open the merge request, and that might be what it takes. I don't know. So let me search the page for tugboat.
Only the one match is in Gareth's
Right.
comment, no other match. Is it maybe if you go to the top of the issue and look under show commands, maybe in there?
Preview the new contribution record. Interesting. I haven't seen that before, but anyway, that's not the sort of preview we're looking for.
No, but there's also no tugboat in the show commands section.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should try to help Emma out, but I think that's as much as we can do productively at this meeting.
Yeah. Let's focus on the microcopy for now.
All right. So any suggestions on what to use other than price as a second example of how a number field can be used? And I think I said this in my reply to Bear that the last time we talked about this, maybe 2 weeks ago, yep, maybe it was last week, we felt that someone might not realize that a numeric value could include a unit. And so we wanted something like a price, which would have a currency attached to it, or a physical measurement like
Temperature, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking about the same, that's something that could be used. It's not something people often use on websites, but
So quantity or temperature. Okay. Um, like in addition to
mm,
the commerce module, which provides prices, there's also the physical field modules, which gives area length, temperature, volume, and weight. So,
Weight might be also a good choice. That way is a bit shorter, also has a unit, and is a decimal.
right. But just as Berger is worried about confusion between the commerce module and our description, the physical fields module also has some users, not as much as commerce, but 13,000 users. Um, so about a third as many users as the commerce module. And if we use any of the physical fields that this module supports, that might also lead to confusion. But something that uses units that's not currency and not
Mhm.
a physical measurement. Uh,
radio frequency.
so I guess that's a physical measurement, hertz, but not one that would be provided by this module, and so would avoid that confusion.
Hmm. Should we go with the frequency?
Um, yeah, if we can at least suggest it in the comment, and maybe we'll
Mm.
think of something more commonly used. But if we
Yeah,
don't come
but
up
that's
with,
actually a little bit weird if we have quantity and we frequency. So then the frequency doesn't feel like it's referring to something with unit. It's referring to how often something recurs, like he goes to school every day, or that kind of frequency.
Yeah, an interval, basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
we could say radio frequency.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was what Simo basically said. I just
Yeah.
said frequency as a short, as an abbreviation
Yeah.
right now, but yeah, radio frequency basically.
Okay, so we are 20 minutes into the meeting. There's another issue um, that we looked at a few weeks ago, I suppose, July 25th. Um, it is issue 3529464. Make menu trail behavior in system menu block optional. Um, and right, this is mostly a performance issue, and the usability team doesn't have much input on that, but it's to make the menu blocks easier to cache. And the usability question was just the configuration form. Um, yes. So here's a screenshot of the configuration form. And I think just when you select to expand all menu links, um, and the thing that makes it hard to cache is the active trail class. Um, when you make when you choose that option, you get this additional option, show the same menu markup on every page. Um, and I think when we last looked at it, I suggested that this is sort of describing what it doesn't do rather than what it does do. Um, and I suggested flipping the option and saying that if it's enabled, then we should show the active active trail class. And if it's not selected, then have um, then remove the active trail class to make it easier to cache. Um, I made some further suggestions, which I think Cache argued against. Um, so here's the comment where I reported the recommendations from our meeting. Here's a further comment. So in comment 35, Catch said it's complicated by the menu allowing you to show which levels to use. So it sounds like he's still arguing against my further comment, even though I think he's already convinced me. Um, so then I'm not in comment 36, Godot is late, writes, I'm not sure what the best path forward is. After making the switch in the UI from essentially ignore active trail to show active trail, if we flip the config property to match, then we end in the position of needing to update existing block configurations and how to deal with them in Layout Builder. Alternatively, we could leave the property as ignore active trail and then in the block config form submit, flip the form before saving to config.
Just one question and a refresher. What does active trail actually mean or entail?
So let's see, where can we see that? So if I'm in this page, admin structure types, menu page fields, I'm not sure whether it shows up in the toolbar. Um, but since we're under admin structure, it would be a CSS class on this menu link so that it could indicate that we're currently looking at a page underneath this page in the structure. But again, I'm not sure whether all these SVGs. Class equals toolbar block list item, toolbar popover. No, I don't see an active class in here.
So basically it would a class on structure, a class on content type, and that way it could visually highlight it what the active parent is in each case.
Yes.
Right. So this is not a menu block, so it doesn't have it. But if it did have it, then yes, it would be a CSS class on here, and then a CSS class on here.
Or display modes in case it's something inside display modes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. No, understood.
So in 37, so I guess there isn't any confusion. He is arguing against our recommendation. I tried to avoid this when we originally started work on the issue because the concept of the active trail does not exist in the UI anywhere else in Drupal core, and I'm not sure we should introduce it here. By highlighting it as the checkbox label, it promotes the concept above where I think it should be for users. Ideally not at all, but minimally introduced by this merge request out of necessity. Number 33 and number 34 show exactly how difficult it is to keep track of the difference between active and active trail. Yet another option would be to add the configuration option without any UI. The problem with that is discoverability of what can be a very significant performance improvement. And then Godot's late reply to that, random thought would be to do some sort of check in the status report, though the detection would likely be limited to globally placed menu blocks and maybe menu blocks and layout builder defaults. But then being able to set the config property would require some pretty technical knowledge, da 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 da. And then in 39, Kat said just to expand a bit, the current label title will show the same menu markup on every page, does not give enough information, so the user has to read the description to figure out what it means. I think that add the active trail class has exactly the same problem, or is possibly slightly worse. E.g., only a tiny, tiny fraction of experienced Drupal users will know what the active trail class is, so everyone will need to read the description anyway. But by making the active trail concept the main thing, it becomes more important to understand what it is versus deciding that, yes, I do want my main menu to look the same on every page.
That basically we could say that, well, I don't know, is going to be technically we say add CSS class, but to explain that to highlight the ancestors of the current page in the menu structure, or highlight the ancestors of the current menu item with a CSS class by adding a CSS class. It's quite long, but I think it explains why and how.
Right, so that addresses part of what Catch has said. So if we don't call it the active trail class, if we just say add a CSS class to parents of the current page or something like that, is that what you were suggesting?
Yeah,
Did you?
but I'm trying to. I was thinking of parents, but then I'm because it's also grandparents, and so it's trying to be precise, making it so clear.
Something like that?
Yeah, I would use something like start with highlight the ancestors.
Of the current block, not page, isn't it?
So it's a menu block showing a menu. But what gets the active trail class depends on the page you're currently on.
But honestly speaking, if I would read just added CSS class to the ancestors of the current page in the context of configuring block, I wouldn't know what it means, to be honest.
We could say active link. That's something that's kind of more universal than active trail.
To links leading to the current page.
But we are referring to links in the navigation sidebar, aren't we?
We're referring to links in the menu block, which could be placed in the sidebar. Let's see, surely with one of these test sites, I can add a menu block. Um, and no, I don't want content blocks.
You have to go to configuration
Thank you.
and then to user interface
Really?
and then to navigation blocks.
No, but I don't want navigation blocks. I want menu blocks.
Oh,
I want under structure, I want block layout. And since I'm looking at the back end, let's do Claro and let's place a block in the header and menu. Huh. I don't want the user account menu. Um, Here we go. Administration, menu levels. Let's see, see what happens. Expand all links. Put it in the header, save. So why am I not seeing it? Between the page title and the primary tabs, I should see this menu block, but I don't see it.
would you move it to, for example, pre-content or somewhere else and save and just to see if perhaps some spacing? No, no difference. Hmm.
Let me try it on something that's not umami, because this might be something where umami is overriding templates or something. But anyway, structure, block layout. Oh, not this one. Structure, block layout. Claro. I'm going to try the header again. Administration menu. Um, no, it's still not showing. It's not restricted by visibility settings. There we go. Um, so that looks like a bug, but maybe I did something wrong. So anyway, here I am on admin structure, block list, Claro. So administration, if I inspect that, um, not on the anchor link, but also not on the list element. Let me look at the structure. Title. That's odd. I don't see, I expected to see the active trail class added. Um, so maybe it only works if I'm actually on a page that's in the menu. Um, so structure, go to block layout. And then if I look at structure, here we go. So you can see on the list element, there's the menu item dash dash active trail CSS class. And if I look at the parent link element,
It also has active trail. Okay.
yes. So that's where it shows up. Um,
Mm.
and apparently it's only there if I'm actually looking at a page in listed in the menu block. So it's not using it's not the same as breadcrumbs, which are path dependent. It depends on the menu structure. And if you're on a page that's not listed in the menu, apparently it doesn't do anything.
Just note, uh, this is actually something that can nowadays be handled at CSS level for the styling with that has. So it's you can do the same stuff you front-end developers used to do with Active Trail. A lot of a lot of it can be done nowadays with the modern CSS.
The path. Path is an SVG. Do you know what the CSS selector is?
Has or that what do you call it? Pseudo class has, so it can be used to track uh, the items that have uh, like in the children, they have the active menu item. So in that way, uh, so for visual styling, that's less important than it was a few years ago.
Active, that's for links, right? Current.
But this is not really actually related to the issue.
Okay.
Um, one thought, if you take a look at the issue summary, there is the statement that however, many themes don't actually use the menu active trail, active link information to change styling. Would it be possible to check or add a check to themes if they are using it, and that way make it automatically that adjustment?
That sort of goes against the usual structure where modules are unaware of what themes are going to do.
And also different users can have different themes.
And then technically, I don't think there's any easy way to decide
Mm.
whether the theme is using it. You'd have to sort of analyze all the CSS files produced by the theme.
And sometimes even JavaScript might use it.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, then that makes sense. My thought was simply maybe adding that info to the info YAML file in the theme or so. But if the case is that JavaScript could use it, then yeah, forget my suggestion.
I'm thinking that this is something that in the future might not be the default to have on, but for currently for backwards compatibility, it has to be the default to keep it there. There is less need for that than before, but I think we should look at the current situation. So we need to have it on as default for backwards compatibility.
And I didn't want to bring it up because it's an implementation issue, not a usability issue.
Mm.
But But the easy way to respond to Godot is late is that you don't have to do anything hacky for backwards compatibility. Just if it's not set, if you get null rather than true or false, then interpret that as the backwards compatible situation.
Yeah.
Um, so I really think all we have to do is come up um, with something relatively descriptive that says what it does rather than what it doesn't do. And we can put details in the description. And my hope is that someone will have to read the description once, but from then on, when they look at it, the label will be enough information. Um, and if we're not counting on the label to be fully descriptive, um, we could even do something fairly short. Add a CSS class to parent links.
Yeah.
And that's by by making it plural, I'm sort of trying to avoid using the word ancestor, which is one more syllable than parent. Um, and and I still think it's relatively accurate. And the description will have to um, be give the full details. So shall we suggest that? I get a thumbs up from Ralph. Okay, I've already commented on this issue a lot, so I can add another comment after the meeting. Um, and Ralph, I see you dropped in a little screenshot mock-up in the Zoom chat. Would you like to either update the merge request or just suggest in a comment that we use quantity or radio frequency?
Yeah, I would comment first and wait um, on Badia's feedback. Maybe he has another idea. And I also add the point about the other module you've raised aside the commerce one, Benji.
I think I already mentioned that in my comment.
Oh, you already did? Okay. I haven't read it that closely.
Yeah.
Only skimmed. Yeah, but I comment after the meeting and can if it's if we get a thumbs up from Badia, I can push the changes to that little
Sounds
thing.
good.
And shall I also add the suggestion about a style guide in the context of commerce, the suggestion of commerce?
Sure.
But that should be probably a follow-up.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, doke.
Okay. So if we wrap the meeting a few minutes early, I'll have that much more time to leave my comment.
Yep.
And again, I'm on vacation next week. So the Zoom link should still work. If you choose to jump on, it should record automatically. But given that we're already down to 3 people at most of the meetings, recent meetings. I don't know that it's worth it, but it's up to you.
Well, I'll pass by and see. Maybe someone. Others than us three show up again. So in case that someone is here.
Let's see, Simo suggested this in the Zoom chat, so I'm just putting it into the comment field so I don't lose it. Okay, well, thank you again.
Thank you.
And hope to see you when I'm back in 2 weeks.
Enjoy the
Yeah.
holidays
Thank you.
Yes.
and a nice weekend and safe
Yeah,
travels.
nice weekend. Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.